sleek. They hop, they jump, they slither and slide. Come out in the open and they run and hide. It takes all kinds to live in Bug City. Some are weird and some are pretty. Come on down, let's meet in Bug City. Don't let them bug you. There's nothing to be afraid of. Bugs can be fun. We're all friends here. So come on down, let's meet in Bug City with Christina Ricci, Dr. Art.
And don't forget me, Bugsy Seagull.
The insects you will meet on today's show are such a bizarre group of individuals that you won't believe it. No two are alike. They're all related, and every one of them is weird. And I thought I knew about weird families. This bunch make the Addams family look like the Cleavers. I'll give you hints, but you'll never guess who they are.
Psst. Hey, they want to hold your hand. You get it?
In this particular family is the heaviest flying insect on Earth, weighing the equivalent of 2 chicken eggs.
Wow.
Another that can produce light all by itself, and another can boil chemicals right in its own body. They come in every color you can imagine, and some of them have metallic jackets as bright as jewels.
Yeah, and some of them are called John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Get it?
And without the work of these particular bugs, get this, our entire planet would be covered with dead, decaying animal bodies.
Ugh.
So have you got it yet?
Yep, all those things Christina said were true, and they were all about this amazing animal.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dr. Art Evans and the real Beetles.
See, I tried to tell you. All you had to do was listen to me, but no.
Meet the Hercules beetle.
What's the matter, Bugsy? Got a hairball? Now, come on, don't tell me you're afraid of a bug.
And can you believe that this Hercules beetle came from this grub?
Now, fraidy cat, who's afraid, huh? Look. Yeah.
These beetles are the most amazing animals who go through complete metamorphosis. That means they start out as a small white egg, then become a larva like this. It's called a grub. And then they pupate and become a spectacular adult.
Oh.
Anyway, I wasn't afraid. Just surprised.
Yeah, that's right. Me too. Surprised.
Well, let's take a look at these amazing beetles. Do you know there are over 350,000 different kinds of beetles? If you were to line up one example of every plant and animal, every 5th one would be a beetle. And what makes a beetle special from all other insects is the fact that they have these thick, leathery wings called elytra.
Can they fly?
They can fly. You can see the wings spread out on this elephant beetle here. Now, beetles live everywhere. In fact, to me, some of the most incredible beetles are those that live in the deserts. Deserts where you think nothing could survive. In this desert in southern Africa, daytime temperatures on the sand can reach 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to cook just about anything. But not this guy. You have to stay put to get cooked, and for its size, this beetle is one of the fastest animals in the world. Its long legs keep it well above the burning sand. The desert darkling beetle can scurry so fast that only 3 of its 6 legs are ever touching the sand at any one time. Desert-dwelling beetles have other special defenses too. This one is covered with a thick, waxy coat to keep the sun from evaporating any of its precious bodily fluids. Some desert beetles not only have long legs and waxy coats, but another really spectacular adaptation. The fact is, the hot surface sand gets cooler the deeper down you can get. And that has given rise to several species of these amazing diving desert beetles.
Hold it. Run that back. You call that diving? Oh, sure, I'd like to see that thing catch a sardine. Leave it to a stupid insect to learn diving in the desert where there are no pools. Could they be dumber or what?
Well, they could be seagulls.
They wish.
Whether by diving or scurrying, desert beetles stay well out of the way until the sun has set. Then, they come out from everywhere to meet and mate and go off looking for food. Getting water in the desert is a do-it-yourself proposition. During the night, moist air has moved in and condensed on this desert darkling beetle's body. It gets a morning drink by rolling the droplet of dew into its mouth. That's the only real water a beetle will ever find in this desert.
Dr. Art, you've got your PhD in the study of insects, but I know you've studied all kinds of animals. Now, have you ever heard stories or legends about ancient civilizations who worship seagulls?
Gulls?
Yeah?
No, doesn't ring a bell.
What?
I've never heard about anybody or anything ever worshiping a gull.
Oh.
No, I didn't think so.
Now, beetles, yes. There was a remarkable civilization, the ancient Egyptians, who were enthralled by the mysteries and marvels of this one, the sacred scarab. This is actually a dung beetle, so named for their habit of, well, eating poop, to put it bluntly.
Now I've heard it all. Boy, oh boy. You know, if a gull accidentally poops on somebody's car, he's target practice. But a bug that eats doo-doo, no, he's worshipped. Humans, man, I can't figure them out.
I'm terribly sorry, Dr. Art. You were saying?
Well, obviously, the scarabs weren't worshipped because they ate animal droppings. It was the scarab's strength, their ability to form and move balls of dung many times their size. To the Egyptians, they symbolized the unseen forces which move the sun across the sky. Always there, always in motion, unstoppable. Looking in on the dung beetle's activity, we might think of it as a dirty job that somebody's got to do. Yet they are tirelessly energetic about their work. As a matter of fact, dung is their life, and just about anything that can be done with it, they will do. They collect it and harvest it. They work it into balls. They roll it great distances. They carefully store it. They consume it. They'll even bury it with their eggs so their grubs will have a ready meal when they hatch. These dung beetles have especially broad and powerful legs. Their back feet are often paddle-shaped to help them form and roll the dung balls. And their front feet are built like rakes, which makes the scarabs very effective diggers. These scarabs are only one of the thousands of kinds of beetles. All species of beetles have the same basic physical attributes. First of all, they are insects, so they all have 6 legs. 3 body parts: head, thorax, and abdomen. And they all have 2 antennae. And these special leathery coverings, called elytra, which protect their wings. Most beetles can fly. They have 2 sets of wings. The front pair is used for balance and lift. The back pair supplies the forward motion. Though most beetles fly only short distances, a few are capable of flying several miles. The fastest of them may beat their wings 100 times per second. In fact, this amazing flyer is another dung scarab like the one we saw, muscling its way through piles of dung and rolling huge balls of it across the desert. A truly spectacular insect. The Egyptians attributed great powers to scarabs. You can clearly see this reverence in incredible carvings and artifacts like these. The highest rulers in ancient Egypt had their very best artisans carve replicas of scarabs out of gold, silver, and precious stones. They had them copied in every imaginable kind of jewelry and decoration.
Oh, hold it. Now, wait a minute. I can get that stuff for you. No problem. How much you gotta spend? $5, $10? What?
Bugsy, that jewelry is thousands of years old. It's priceless. Those pieces are sacred.
Well, Excuse me. I was just trying to help you get a little present for yourself, but forget about it.
Beyond even their religious significance, the ancient Egyptians believed dung beetles brought good luck. The rulers, called pharaohs, were so superstitious about the scarab's powers that some, when they died, had their hearts removed and replaced with stone scarabs to make sure the gods would allow them entrance into the next life.
So what I'm wearing is a celebration of the remarkable qualities of what is literally one of the lowliest creatures on Earth. I think I like that.
Hey, Christina, I'm one of the lowliest creatures on Earth. You never look at me like that.
That's true.
What?
Actually, humans have found many other uses for beetles besides jewelry and symbols. In southern Africa, desert bushmen use toxins from a beetle larva as poison for their arrow tips. In some parts of the world, beetle larvae are considered delicacies and are relished as food treats by the local inhabitants.
Oh, you're kidding. Do they taste good?
Well, they sell like hotcakes, so I guess so.
Yeah, that's where the word grub comes from. Hey, I can tell you for a fact that there's nothing like a nice, juicy grub steak or something. Or even a dried one, for that matter. I mean, it's not a corn dog, but what is?
I think you'll agree that one of the strangest uses man has found for beetles is the one you're about to see. In natural history museums throughout the country, beetles are hard at work making animal exhibits more, well, presentable. The next time you visit your local natural history museum, take a close look at the animal skeletons on display. You'll find they're so perfectly clean that they sometimes don't even look real. Were the hides stripped off with surgical instruments or chemicals or lasers? Nope. Mostly, the job is done somewhere in a back room by a busy colony of dermestid beetles, also called skin-eating beetles. Tens of thousands of these voracious little critters are put onto any freshly collected animal carcass, where they'll eat night and day until there isn't a speck of flesh left. Then, when they've finished cleaning the carcass and their job is done, they simply turn around and eat each other up. The result? No muss, no fuss, no paychecks. Nothing but clean, white skeletons for display.
That's the strangest picnic I've ever seen.
Isn't it? What I find amazing is that even now, in the late 20th century, no technology has ever been invented that beats what those beetles do, just by instinct. And they're just a fraction of the spectacular array of species which blanket this planet. Remember, 1 in 5 species on Earth is a beetle.
Well, what I want to know is where beetles get such amazing colors like the ones in this tray. I mean, for instance, look at that one. I'd love to have a jacket that color. Why are they so glamorous?
Well, the color in beetles serves 2 functions. One, it helps them to camouflage itself. Even this brilliantly colored beetle right here, the green and silver stripes, if you put that on a juniper bush where it lives, those silver stripes help to break up its shape, and it doesn't look like a beetle. Chances are a predator wouldn't find it. So it actually camouflages this beetle. This click beetle over here has very distinct eye spots, and those eye spots will startle a predator. And of course, anytime you see black and yellow or black and orange, those beetles are warning you that they taste bad. Beetles, in every stage of their development, are wizards of survival. We've already seen that some can run, dive, dig, or fly, but this tiny, slow-moving leaf beetle has its own special trick. It uses suction cups on its feet to clamp down like a little tank, so that these ants, who would love to eat it, can't possibly get to its body, no matter what they do. They simply give up, and the leaf beetle continues on its way. This very same leaf beetle has an equally ingenious defense in its larval stage. As it eats and grows, it excretes its food waste into these wild-looking tendrils. The bigger the larva grows, the better its camouflage gets, and the more distasteful. even birds wouldn't be interested in this grub. For the vast majority of beetles, living plants tend to be the gathering place and refuge and mating place of choice. Unfortunately for the plants, they are also the food of choice. Some plants have evolved ways to defend themselves from beetles, mostly by producing poison. But some beetles, great survivors that they are, have found ways around that. This leaf beetle first bleeds the plant of its poison by opening the leaf's main veins. Then the leaf can safely be consumed. There are other species of beetle who are proof that the best defense is a good offense. These beetles, by landing and feeding en masse, overwhelm the plant's defenses. The plant can only produce so much poison, and by splitting up the dose, the beetles can all survive and devour the otherwise delicious plant down to its nubs. A few beetles possess the ultimate weapon against predators, a sort of chemical warfare. This common stink beetle can tilt up its abdomen and waft out a chemical so powerfully nasty that even a hungry mouse 100 times its size can't get past the bad taste. A large, predatory wolf spider would not be so easily put off, but this little orange beetle, called the bombardier, has a burning surprise in store. The bombardier, when attacked, instantaneously mixes chemicals in a special reaction chamber in its abdomen. When it pulses out the chemical bomb at a rate of 500 to 1,000 times per second, the gas is not only burning, but literally boiling. Would-be predators, like this toad, will regret having ignored the bombardier's bright orange warning color. And this beetle, a master of survival, will usually get to where it was going.
Something tells me, Dr. Art, that the horns on this beetle are not for self-protection.
You're right, those are strictly for fighting off rival males for the right to breed with local females. In the same way that male elephants use their tusks to battle over territory and harems, these atlas beetles use their horns to decide who is dominant. Their 3 horns are not separate tools like tusks or teeth, but are literally hardened, specially shaped extensions of the beetle's tough hide, or exoskeleton. These mighty Hercules beetles, up to 5 inches in length, will sometimes battle for more than an hour. The battle is finally over when the stronger beetle tosses the weaker beetle in the air. Whoever ends up toppled on his back is the loser. The battles are rarely fatal. The losing beetle will eventually right himself and live to fight another day. The stag beetle is not really fighting with horns like the others we just saw. His weapons are actually exaggerated jaws or mandibles, which were once used for chewing. In the male stag beetles, the mandibles have grown so outlandishly large, in fact, they can get in the way of eating. All the mandibles are now good for is helping to decide who is the stronger male, and so who gets the most females. But enough about fighting. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, forget the fighting. But I thought that was fun.
Okay, Christina, it's time for a pencil alert. We'll put up a list on the screen of the things you'll need to gather if you want to make your own Bug City. So get a pencil and paper and write them down while I tell you about them. For this project, you will need a small, shallow tray, some wheat bran, mealworms that you can buy at a pet shop, and 2 pieces of burlap cloth large enough to fit the tray. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to have our own Bug City with mealworms. This way we get to see all of the beetle's life stages, the egg, larva, pupa, and adult. First of all, we need a shallow tray, like the one we have here, and we fill it full of wheat bran, just a little bit, just to cover the bottom.
That's what they eat?
That's what they eat. And mealworms that we have right here are available at pet shops, bait stores. They're very easy to find. And we carefully sprinkle the mealworms.
Why is that one so white?
Well, that one just molted. Remember, insects have their exoskeleton on the outside of their body. So in order to grow, they have to shed that exoskeleton. And when they first come out of the old exoskeleton, they're very pale. So these guys are ready to go, and they will feed on the meal. But when they turn into a pupa, they need a place to hide. So we put down a bit of burlap, 2 layers, and when the larvae are ready to turn to pupae, they'll crawl inside and become a pupa. And then in a few days, they'll become beetles. Now, within just a matter of a few weeks, you'll have all stages. This is one we put together earlier. Here are the adult beetles, and in between, we can see the pupae.
And the adult beetles don't try to get out?
The adult beetles don't try to get out. They're not very good climbers, but like I say, that's why it's important to leave a margin around your tray so they can't walk out.
Hey, should you put some water in there?
No, you don't need any water, Bugsy. What you can do is add just a thin slice of apple or potato or lettuce about once a week. It's very important that the bran stay dry.
Why don't they need water?
They can produce their own water from just eating that dry bran. They're adapted for living in a very dry environment.
Hey, let's wrap it up there. I'm ready to do my big number. Lights, camera, action.
Everything's already on, Bugsy.
Oh. Now it's time for factualities. Ta-da! Now, here's some things I bet you didn't know. And, no, I'm not really one of the Beatles, but I do have some factualities for you. Did you know some beetles take 35 years to reach maturity? And did you also know that there are hairy beetles that make a kind of buzzing sound and fly close to the ground to imitate bees? That's 'cause they don't want to be eaten. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't eat a bee, would you? No. Now, did you also know that 1 million insect species have already been classified? And that 1,000 more insect species are discovered each year. And there are more out there to be discovered yet. Isn't it amazing? They just keep going on and on and on. And that, folks, is a factuality.
Great stuff, Bugsy. Thanks for your help.
Hey, no.
Well, that's all for today.
Wait a minute. I'm not finished.
Au contraire, you are.
But...
So, did you have fun? And every bit as important, did you learn to like beetles a little more? I hope you'll join me, Dr. Art, and of course, Bugsy Seagull, for another Bug City. And remember, wherever you go, if you look, you'll find them. It's a bug's world.
See you again.
But, better yet, see me again. Huh. Gee whiz, I didn't get to do my number. No, see you, gang. Maybe next time.